WoW Killer is a production of amove.tv. Check out Amove TV for many more podcasts, multiple about Blizzard games. And for more of Taliesin's WoW coverage, check out Taliesin and Evitel on YouTube and twitch.tv. .1, more like 9.0. Welcome back to a new episode. Welcome back, everybody. This is WoW Killer. I'm Garrett, trying not very hard at all to make Taliesin laugh. How you doing, Tally?
PTR, more like PT fart.
Okay. There's a pirate dragon, so we could go PTR, more like PTR.
Chains of domination, more like chains of lobotomization.
I'm out. I got nothing.
Oh, thank goodness, I've got stuff to do today.
We've got a PTR, man.
We have. Okay, so the thing about this show, the thing about WoW Killer is I've wasted far too much of my life on it, but also we tend to hey, look, I'm an old man, Garrett, I'm not getting any younger. We tend to focus on one topic, don't we? For WoW Killer, it's a one topic show, laser focus on the topic. Don't you talk about anything else. Don't you even dare talk about that. And we tend to take pride in the fact that we're not like a news show, not like a catch-up show or anything like that. But then sometimes the World of Warcraft gives us something which is just so topical that we would kind of be remiss to talk about it. And I think this is one of those shows, Garrett.
Listen, that was a lot of words to say that our one single topic today is 9.1.
9.1, specifically the PTR. And the things that have happened on the PTR, because the PTR is here. We've got data mining. We've got things to play on the PTR. How much time have you spent on the PTR, Garrett?
Actually, very little.
This is going to be such a great show.
What's that?
This is going to be such an informative show for our listeners. Okay. It's going to be amazing. Are you kidding me? They're going to come away from this show so informed.
Here's what I could do. I could regale you and listeners with excuses like I have less than 2 weeks left in this current semester of the masters that I'm getting. But in reality, I never play PTRs ever. My experience with PTRs is always, ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. And you know what I'm looking at? Wowhead.
Yes.
that's what I'm looking at. Cause I frankly, I don't see much, I don't know why I'd want to go test the PTR, frankly. You say you ain't no snitch. I'm gonna gatekeep your snitchiness. Is that a thing I can do? I could be like, if you were really not a snitch, you would forgo the PTR entirely.
Why?
I don't know, man. I'm just defending myself.
Surely keeping secrets shows what a not snitch I am. Surely putting myself into a situation where I know all of the things wrong with the PTR. I've read all the spelling mistakes. I know all the bugged quests, but I just don't tell Blizzard. That shows exactly what a no snitch I am. And that's the thing. I do go into the PTR and I do play it, and I've already found many spelling mistakes. Have I written a single bug report? Have I fuck? Because I ain't no snitch. I just feel guilty, Garrett. I feel guilty if I go onto the PTR and I find stuff that's wrong with it. So today we found a mount which is called the silver something, and they left out the letter I on silver, right? They didn't fill it out properly, and it's just spelt wrong. There's the whole mount spelt wrong, and we found it and we were looking at it, and everyone in chat was like, "Oh, write a bug report," and we were like, "No," because I feel sorry for whoever got it wrong. They're gonna get in trouble. You know, when they get in trouble, I don't want it to be my snitching that got them in trouble. So I keep that to myself, you know. And
I mean, well, I for one look forward to the sliver mount. So
it's a sliver mount, yeah.
Yeah. No, historically, I don't really play the PTR. I've never felt like, personally, I've never really felt like playing it would give me all that much more understanding of what is to come than reading reports of what is to come.
Sure.
Because I get really excited about the data mining, and a lot of times the data mining is showing me a lot more than I would see if I was in there doing it myself anyway.
Oh yeah, and almost all kind of like story elements and like the models and things like that. My experience of the PTR often comes from data mining and things as well. So, but this PTR is something that is of great interest to me to play because it's the first new content in WoW since launch of Shadowlands, and secondly, it is a patch which is going to be the gameplay of 9.1. So, I mean, you can say about any patch, but it does feel like there are very strong elements of a 0.2 patch in 9.1. So, what have we had in 0.1 patches before? In the modern era that we recognize, so Legion, we had we had not a new area or zone. We had some new quests that popped up, like Hellier themed quests in Stormheim, and we had Karazhan, and we had then eventually the mini raid and a raid. So that's your standard that's your standard 0.1 patch. It was the same in 8.1 in BFA.
Well,
we got like
in BFA they saved the mega
and things that happened
the
on the
mega
existing
dungeon
map.
though.
Sorry?
In BFA, they saved the mega dungeon for 0.2 in BFA.
Yeah, exactly. So in BFA, it was even slimmer pickings than that, and also took a lot longer to arrive. And the raid was 9.15. Yeah, but I count that as 0.1 content. It just comes later.
It's funny to think of saying anything took a long time to arrive now.
Yeah, if something happens in a X.X.5 patch, you count it as if something's X.2.5, that's part of the 0.2. Like if something's 1.5, it's part of the 0.1. Yeah. So there's that, and but so Chains of Domination does feel, in kind of essence, a lot more like a 0.2 patch, because you've got this new area, and it's been set up very much as a questing area, right? So you go there, and there's like a lot of story to kind of get you there, like big setup, big scenario to sort of get you into the area. Some really quite impressive kind of like story quests and stuff. Like all the covenants coming together, and you set up in this new area, Korthia, which has its own storyline that you kind of unlock, kind of like Nazjatar in a way. And you've got covenant campaigns going on as well, and then you have like these dailies and lots of overwhelming amounts when you first get there of like blue exclamation marks waiting for you to do. And there's like a version of assaults kind of that are going on and things. And it's very much focused around repeatable daily content around this area, which has like the odd rare and things kind of going around, like mount drops, new reputation to build up. It feels in essence a lot more like a 0.2 patch. Not quite as big, because it isn't. It's a 0.1 patch after all, and that to me is interesting, because then you're in a situation where you're going, well, if the whole kind of concept of the patch, if the whole principle of the patch is this repeatable daily content, I want to see what that repeatable daily content's like, right? So because I want to have, I want to know if it's good, and I want to be able to give suggestions and feedback on it. Which I feel is something that we're going to hear a lot of in the next few weeks, because I think there's a lot of feedback to give. So that's one of the reasons why I'll probably end up playing quite a lot of the PTR. If it was a standard 0.1 and it was mostly kind of story and like new dungeon, things like that, I will go into the new dungeon on the PTR. But I don't like over-testing dungeons or raids on PTRs. So there is already some fascinating kind of snippets popping up in data mining, but also just in the PTR itself of where this might be going, to the extent where, and we were talking about this on stream earlier, I think I know what the Mythic phase in the Sylvanas fight is going to be. Yeah. Which would actually make a much better title for this podcast than the one I did.
Anyway. It better not be the Banshee phase, because if she gonna go Banshee, that better be in the regular fight.
Okay, so what do you expect the Mythic phase to be in the Sylvanas fight? Because there's a generally accepted character who...
no, it's gonna be like And it's John Cena! Except it's going to be Anduin.
Yeah, okay, so everyone thinks it's going to be Anduin. Everyone thinks Anduin will make an appearance in the Sylvanas Mythic only phase. Like, that's generally, and I was the same until this morning when I was looking through this stuff. Everyone expects it to be Anduin. It's obvious why you'd expect it to be Anduin. I think everyone kind of expects her to turn around and be like, oh, I can't allow this to happen, and to help Anduin, and that'll be the moment when things kind of change, But there is a mount in the PTR. And, like, there is going to be some spoilers. Sorry, everyone. In this episode.
We're going to...
Really be helped.
If it's on head, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. I'll let you know when there's going to be, like, a major spoiler coming up. This isn't really a major spoiler. This is just speculation.
So I guess we typically consider spoilers things that have to do with, like, lore and characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll give you big proper warnings when we get to that. If it's like, if you consider mount drops a spoiler, we don't. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And so the mount drop from Mythic Sylvanas is called Vengeance. All right. And the idea is that it's like a manifestation of Sylvanas' vengeance. Right. And the description for this mount is, when Arthas killed Sylvanas, she has been tortured and tormented by this vengeance ever since, And, you think to yourself, what would cause... Well, we are now in possession of Sylvanas' vengeance, quite literally. If this is a manifestation of her vengeance, we're riding it. We've got it. Which suggests that maybe by the end of that fight, Sylvanas has, for whatever reason, lost her kind of all-consuming thirst for vengeance. Because if we're riding it as a mount, she has quite literally lost it. We've got it. So maybe she has shed that. It is gone. And what could possibly cause her to shed that all-consuming desire for vengeance? It wouldn't be Anduin, would it? Who would it be? Garrett's frozen. It was a really awkward time for Garrett to freeze, but he has frozen and he has gone. My amazing speculation just froze him. He's gone now. He gone. It was such good timing. I thought he was just enraptured with my speculation. But I'll carry on anyway until Garrett gets back. For me, it's got to be Arthas, right? For me, the only thing that would cause... he's back. You're back. Don't worry, I covered Garrett. No one even knew.
I'm going to need you to back up because none of this
What was the last thing you heard? Because you just had a very concentrated look on your face.
Yeah, you've been gone for like 30 seconds.
Right, yeah. So what was the last thing you heard me say?
The last thing I heard you say was posing the question, what would cause her to lose her...
That was it. I was sat there waiting for you to respond. For like 30 I posed you a question. I was like, well, who would cause that to happen, Garrett? And you were like, and I thought you were just thinking very hard, but you had actually frozen and gone.
No, you just, on my end, you just stopped, like, it just went dead silent and you froze. And
did you answer? Did you put your answer into the void before you realized that we would
not put my answer into the void because you cut off like mid phrase, but I knew where you were going.
So who would cause what? Like which character appearance in the Mythic only phase of Sylvanas would cause her to shed her all-consuming desire for vengeance? It wouldn't be Anduin, would it? Who would it be?
No. Arthas.
Exactamundo. So I am making the speculation right here, that it's Arthas in the Mythic only phase of the Sylvanas fight.
So the door opens, he starts running down the crowd. Instead of it's John Cena, they go, it's Arthas Evitel!
You better. Yeah, you know it. You know it. The fight is happening atop Torghast. Like, as in, at the top of Torghast, as in the top of a citadel.
Ooh, and also there's a portal to the top of another citadel, a mirror, a warped mirror image of the top of Torghast.
Well, now
and who do we last see at the top
you mention it
of that citadel?
Yeah. And that is my groundbreaking theory that I just came up with this morning. What do you think about that, eh? Based on Sylvanas' mythic mount.
I would like to really, really make it clear that what you just said was, Garrett, disagree with me when I'm advocating for Arthas being brought back into World of Warcraft. To which I say, what the hell do you think I'm going to say? I'm going to say, God damn, I hope you're right. That sounds wonderful.
And that's what I love about PTR. I love like looking at these little clues and discovering, things about that. Like I love reading all of the text on all the mounts and all of the abilities in the raid and things like that. So we know that there are characters who we've been speculating about and stuff coming back in this raid that weren't mentioned before. Like there's models being data mined for kind of like races of character that we were promised, but haven't heard anything of. And it's there's loads of exciting stuff. It's a really exciting time. These first couple of days for PTR. Where all of the, you first set foot in like a new area and you see all the new like environment and you see all those question marks and exclamation marks and like you're playing through a quest and the screen goes black and it's like something cool happens here and you're like ooh, sounds awesome. Like loads of stuff like that going on and it's a really exciting time and I love getting in the PTR for that stuff.
Is at some point does Arthas turn to Anduin and go, "No, I am your father"?
I mean, he could do, and if he does, I'll never play WoW again.
And then Talie's just like, "That's it. It's been a good run. Evitel, the channel is all yours."
I wouldn't be angry. I would just calmly get out of my chair, leave the room, go to the pub, never return.
And your raid would go, Talie, why aren't you healing? Talie, we made it to the mythic phase. Why aren't you healing?
Yeah.
Cool. Good to know. Good to know.
It does open the way for Arthas to pick up the jailer at the end of the expansion, like
and
lightning going everywhere, and he's just like, "Oh, get off!" And the jailer's like, "Oh, for some reason my force powers don't work anymore, and I can't stop you doing this." Oh.
That would look really funny because Arthas is a lot smaller than the jailer.
Yes.
Just be like an ant.
and it wouldn't be like a cinematic, it'd be like an in-game cutscene, which is just, even these days with the really good in-game cutscenes, slightly jank. So it'd be like it'd be so good. Oh, I'd love it. Okay. So, I could go with the whole Arthas as Anduin's father thing if that was the case. If that's how it worked out, yeah, definitely.
I also just cannot get past the fact that I still don't see Nathanos on this now complete list of bosses for Sanctum of Domination. Which to me, like, I was already certain of this, but now I'm just like, it's confirmed Sylvanas is going to survive because we're going to have, I don't know, she's going to show up like all video game characters in like an even bigger hood over her head, wandering the waste, searching for Nathanos in the 0.2 patch.
She doesn't have to search for Nathanos. She knows Nathanos will come to her. Like the little puppy that he is.
Nathanos shows up. I would walk 1 mile.
No, I don't want no DCMA strikes on my channel, Garrett.
Oh, I know. I realize that my voice
I just want to make it clear to all the bots like scanning this channel. That was Garrett singing himself. It wasn't a record. It just sounded like a CD. It sounded like the original recording. It was so good. But
great.
But I mean, Sylvanas like has already popped up quite a lot in the PTR. So there's a really good opening to the patch, I think. One of those things where there's a good story scenario that happens at the beginning of the patch, which will be and lots of really good story quests to kind of set up the new area and things like that. And when I say good story quests, I don't mean that they're like groundbreaking gameplay. Like they're not pushing the boundaries of WoW, questing or anything like that. It's it's WoW questing, but the story that it's telling is really engaging and really good and super fun. And Sylvanas is in this opening scenario quite a lot. And I've got to say, Garrett, she doesn't look like she's having any doubts about helping the jailer at this point. Like, she certainly doesn't seem like all the while she's thinking to herself, oh, I really don't like what happened to Anduin, and I know I'm having some serious doubts here. No, she's pretty firmly on side.
Are you saying that this sometimes World of Warcraft has a bit of a propensity for uneven writing?
It's possible.
This is shocking for me to hear. I don't believe it. I cannot believe that this game would show a character in a certain light in a cinematic and then later on kind of forget about it for a bit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it make like joking aside, it makes sense anyway. Like if you're having doubts about the side that you're on, the first people that you express that to probably wouldn't be the people who are trying to kill you in that moment. You know,
listen. Can we just everyone? Let's just sit down and have a talk. Could you just put your swords away for a second? I'm going to sit down too. I'm going to get on your level. Okay, I'm going to step down from the podium. I'm going to get on eye level with you. I'm having some thoughts. No, that's not how it's going to go.
No, exactly.
And she still has vengeance inside her.
Well, exactly. Until I get her at cutting edge, and then I'm right.
So we get that sweet mount. Yeah.
So they're having lots of new mounts that it looks like we've seen pretty much every mount that is out there, including the Covenant mounts. Lots of new transmogs on the PTR as well. But the main interest for me is always going to be, on different sides. So like obviously the gameplay and the day-to-day gameplay is incredibly interesting to me because it's what I'm going to be doing every day, and still haven't quite got a handle on that yet. A lot of the kind of the daily repeatable quests in Korthia are quite similar at the moment. There's a lot of kind of fill the bar stuff. I'd say the questing, the day-to-day questing is pretty uninspired. There's no like you know how when you went to kind of Nazjatar or Mechagon, or to a certain extent the Broken Shore as well, there was like a great variety in like the repeatable quests.
I'm sorry, you just said Mechagon and variety.
There was plenty of variety in Mechagon.
I agree with you, but I think it's at the end of Mechagon. As you unlocked more quests, I think it actually got much more interesting and much more like variable in its offerings. When I first got there, dude, you remember that's when we started the show. I thought it was the worst damn thing I'd ever played in World of Warcraft. I hated Mechagon.
Oh yeah, but your dislike for Mechagon is like so intense that I don't really take it seriously.
I was serious though. I was
no, I know, but it's so intense. I don't take it seriously as a serious opinion because it's like so intense.
It was such a boring island. It still is.
But like, I can't help it, man. When you meet someone, like if you meet someone who just really, really hates a certain band that you like, if you're like, I really like Rancid, I think they're a good band, and someone's like, I think Rancid the worst band ever made, you're like, okay, cool, and you kind of phase out anything they say about Rancid at that point, don't you? Because like, you know they're not going to like Rancid, they don't like Rancid, you don't respect their opinion on Rancid because you just completely disagree with it, and you're like, I don't really take anything you say about Rancid seriously. Because your dislike for them is so intense, it doesn't mean anything to me.
I do know this because it's so clear to me that you stopped listening because the amount of times I've said, I think Mechagon got way better as I unlocked more quests, and you just seem to forget that I said that. So clearly you just turn off when I start talking about Mechagon. Also, it was compared to Nazjatar, which I still hold is one of the coolest zones that's ever been added. So you've got a beautiful underwater dreamscape and I don't know, a fucking island with dirt. Like, cool. Which one's cooler, Taliesin? Geez, I don't know. I'm gonna go.
Nazjatar was cooler. Listen, I agree with you. Nazjatar was good, but I mean, anyway,
but Mechagon won me over by the end. By the end, I was
like, you go to Mechagon, and I wasn't a huge fan of Mechagon either, by the way. But there were lots of like rare spawns and elites walking around, and you knew there were good rewards from those things. Then suddenly you'd have like a rocket pack on and you'd be flying around doing that thing, and then suddenly you'd have to kind of like someone be calling some big monster along and you'd have to like kill that, and then you had to go and pick up slimes and stuff, and then you had to do that, and like there was variety in it, and if you got bored of it, you went to Nazjatar and there's more variety there. Like you went to the Broken Shore, like there was barrels rolling along and you were riding the barrels and you were doing that, and then there was a bit where you were digging up coins and they were all rainbows because there's lots that Khadgar isn't telling us, and there's like different areas within the Broken Shore where different things were happening, and there was just like there was a great variety of different kind of types of quest, and some of it was good enough and surprising enough that occasionally you go, cool. And so far, like none of the kind of quests in Korthia have made me go, cool. Like it's kind of, at the moment, it's kind of, 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 the day-to-day content there is a tiny bit uninspiring.
Mm.
But I mean, day one of the PTR. Let's see. So yeah,
I'm wondering if it's gonna be like a Mechagon, where as you progress the trajectory of the zone, not sorry, area, not zone. That it just becomes more interesting and more variable. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I think too, like, I think we're all gonna be pretty sharp in our critique of this because we're just so done with 0.0 at the moment. Like, I don't think there's anything they could do to 0.1 for us not to be a little crabby about it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's just like
and
so
I'm
long coming, which is why, I mean, thank goodness it is more like a 0.2 in that respect. But my fear is that people will expect it to be a 0.2. Like, they're going to expect Korthia to be a Nazjatar or a Broken Shore, and it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be.
I feel like your retort to what I'm about to say is going to be, well, that's why you should play it, to actually find out for yourself. But
I would never do that, not in front of all these people.
No, but I'm gonna say I think that's another big reason I'm not super stoked to go play the PTR is because I'm looking at Korthia from the outside looking in, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna get really bored with this really fast. And I think if I go play it on the PTR when it's actually live, it's gonna take away from my live enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it and it is not hyping me up. I'm really hyped for the raid in 0.1. Korthia, it really hasn't moved my hype needle much.
Shame.
And I guess I'm worried. And so I think I'm just like, I want to hold out, but now I'm just like, yeah, I should have.
What worries you specifically?
Well, if you haven't noticed a trend with me getting excited or not about zones, areas, etc., I'm all about that aesthetic. I'm an aesthetic man.
All about that ass.
Aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Korthia just looks like more Maw, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It does look like more. I mean, it's prettier than the Maw. And it's got like interesting kind of first.
I mean, that's a really high bar.
Architecture. Yeah, I know. It's got interesting first one architecture, and also the Maw itself undergoes changes. Like as part of the story and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a very strong kind of covenant presence in the Maw now. Obviously, you can mount up in the Maw on any mount that you please. You can't fly like you'll be able to in. Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to fly in the Maw or Korthia, even when you unlock flying. But you know, you will eventually be able to fly in the older zones if you really need to. There's not much going on there really.
Listen, man, I need ore still, okay? And I'd like to get that ore a little quicker.
The common thinking is that flying will unlock in about week 6. At the moment, that seems to be when, assuming everything's working as we think it's going to work, that seems to be when the last chapter of the Covenant campaigns will be completed, and that is what we've been told is when we'll be allowed to fly. So
I like that. If that ends up being right, you know, as the resident flying grump, I like 6 weeks. That works for. I like that. That seems like a good pace. And that also, I mean, that gives me hope for Corthia too, because it's tied. The new Covenant campaigns are going to be tied into that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's how kind of quickly Corthia ramps up, yeah.
Well, there's another 40 layers of renown to go through, so it's not just the Covenant campaigns. And like, so I mean, all in all, there were 7 real chapters of the Covenant campaign in 9.0. So there's only one less chapter like of individual Covenant campaigns in 9.1, which is pretty good going. In fairness, we know that Blizz have said that they will be generally more alike than the individual Covenant campaigns at the beginning of Shadowlands in 9.0. But then so far, from what we've seen, there's kind of different. There's like a stuff going on with Venari. She's got her own quest line as well, which is quite interesting. Yeah, like story-wise, it seems legit. Story-wise, it seems fun. And you know, like WoW is always it's such a difficult line for WoW to walk, because you've always got to have this like sense of genuine story progression the whole time, but also you want to have like grindable content that's always there, that you can do, and that people who play the game at different levels and who want to play the game different amounts can all feel in touch with. I mean, it's an impossible task, you know, like, and it's something that you didn't have to do in older expansions because the player base was not so demanding, you know, like people accepted the way they played the game, and they accepted the things they couldn't get in the game as a result, or the things they shouldn't expect from the game as a result of the way they played it. And that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, you know. It feels like people who don't raid or don't have time to grind expect to be able to get the same things that people who do. And likewise, people who kind of world first raid and dedicate everything towards raiding expect the game to be a bit more geared towards that. And so it's just like, you know, I feel like Blizzard are just in an impossible place.
It's always been the challenge of World of Warcraft, though. I mean, it's a challenge, I think, of any game that has multiple ways to play, right? And you're going to get people that, you know, hyper focus on different avenues and have completely different play experiences than other individuals. And of course, like you're gonna see the World of Warcraft through the lens of how you play it. Yeah. And that's where you're gonna want to see improvements. So I don't see anything new or different there.
No, I guess so. So they're always trying to find that way. And obviously, when I say grind, I'm not referring to renown, because the great thing
you're referring to your morning stream, of course.
Yeah. Like I'm not. Yeah. I'm not referring to renown. I think renown hits a really good mark. Actually, genuinely, I think like renown does a really good job at what it does. You know, I feel like
I'm not really dreading more renown, right? Like it wasn't a grind. Like I think WoW. I'm concerned with additional grinds because I feel like WoW has enough of them. So like, even though there's only we're assuming 6 more weeks of the new Covenant arcs in 9.1, but there's 40 more right now. That's whatever. Like to me, I mean, we also ran out of Covenant quests before we capped renown in 0.0.
Mm-hmm. And like the stuff you get from renown, like you know, it's stuff that. It's fine. It's just like, you know, it's kind of a power ramp, kind of a natural power ramp with time. And the fact that it's really easy to unlock renown every week and it's got really good catch up, it's having that kind of, you know, you fill your anima reserve or you get your 20 souls or whatever. Like that's just enough work to make you feel like you've done something to progress your renown without it really being any work, and that's a really good thing. No, the grind I'm talking about is, you know, there's reputations there, there's the anima, there's like you're going to be grinding for a lot of stuff in, you know, Blizz want you to have a reason to do all those blue exclamation marks every day, right? So there's a lot going on there. There's going to be new layers of Torghast. There's going to be, it seems to me like there's going to be a new kind of unlocking of new layers of the Twisting Corridors, because there certainly seem to be some mounts that seem attached to that. You know, so like, of course there's a big grind involved, and when I talk about, you know, grinding is part of WoW, and you want that, you know, like you have your progression that you have with WoW, which largely comes from kind of group content, right? So you go in like, I want to do my Mythic Plus, or I want to complete this raid is the big one for me personally. Like my aim every patch is to complete the current raid, and everything I do is to make that easier for myself, you know. So I'm like, I'm doing this thing because I want to get the gear that's going to help me in the raid, and I'm doing this thing because I want to have the mats I need to make my potions for the raid, or I'm doing this thing because I want to be able to sell this thing for gold so I can help myself in the raid. So it's like that's always my main objective, but within that you want stuff to do, right? So like, I think Shadowlands has struck a pretty good balance of having the important stuff be very easy to keep up with, and then, you know, there's always a grind there if you want it, but it's for anima, which you're going to buy transmogs and you know, cosmetics with. And I think that's great. A lot of people hate it. I feel like it's one of the best balances that they've had on that, personally.
Well, yeah, because it's not a large majority of that type of stuff is not gameplay altering. It's just, as you mentioned, cosmetics and just kind of customization and in my opinion, what I would file under fun things, not not power things. So, no, I like it too because I'm like a general Blizzard gamer. I play every Blizzard game except Overwatch, and Diablo, but I like Diablo. It's just that there's really nothing new there. So like for me, I think Shadowlands has really struck a good balance for someone like me who like can't go ham on certain grindable aspects, but like in expansions past, I haven't gotten flying like right when it was available. It might be part of a personal reason that I don't talk about all often why I hate Pathfinder so much. But this expansion, I'm like I'm totally ready to go. Would have been ready to go if 9.1 had come out in a quote unquote reasonable amount of time. And it's because and because of that, I'm really happy with how they've done a system like Renown. I like that it's just like, hey, are you like logging in every week? You're good. As long as you're doing this one very low bar to clear, you're good to go.
Although honestly, even if you're not in Shadowlands, I think that's something that they've done pretty well. Yeah, I mean so the grind that they give us in a patch is very important because it forms like your day to day, and like at the moment I'm very unconvinced about the grind in 9.1. Like it seems pretty boring. I like that there's a lot of it, certainly for a 0.1 patch. Like there's loads of it, and that's cool. But I hope that more kind of different varieties of quests get introduced there as the PTR goes on, because at the moment, yeah, it's pretty uninspiring. The story to get us there was really, really good, really exciting. You're gonna like it, Garrett, a lot. I won't spoil it for you, but it's fun. It's just a big old fight. It's really good. And like the story progression on that is really fun. There's like, the city in the middle of Korthia is called the City of Secrets, Like there's so much potential for kind of story.
I feel like you broke the first rule of the City of Secrets.
Yeah. And that's so there's lots of potential there, but the actual grinding quests at the moment kind of below par. So hopefully that will improve as it goes on. There are other problems, of course, with the PTR at the moment. Well, not problems, but like reasons to be wary. 1, 2, 3. And this stuff we kind of knew about as well, but like seeing it in black and white in front of you is it can be quite sobering. And I guess different people have different feelings about this, but the weekly reset shit show connoisseur in me is kind of licking my lips and rubbing my hands with glee when I see that there are going to be Covenant specific legendaries in 9.1.
That's I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, one. I think you do, Garrett.
Yeah. concerned, right? Because like I always want to give the devs the benefit of the doubt, but my gut reaction is, why are you making things harder on yourself?
It's like,
why? Like there's nothing about this that makes me think it's not going to just cause more issues. Like, especially after I think the last round of balance adjustments to covenants in 0.0 and live right now, I think put it in a really healthy place where like you can make different covenants work for your class and spec for the most part. There's always exceptions, but I think that like the last round of balance updates to covenants in the live game, I think was really, really healthy and really spot on and really got covenants in a good place. So let's throw a massive monkey wrench into all of that. That is, let's add a whole new layer of unique junk we need to balance for covenants. It's very strange to me.
So, I mean, I've said before, and I stand by this, I stand by the principle that you shouldn't avoid doing something in WoW just because you're going to have to balance it. And like so many times when they introduce a cool idea into WoW, people are against it straight away. And you ask why people are against it, and they say, well, because it's going to take a lot of balance, and I don't trust Blizzard to balance it. And if that was the case, then we'd have to get rid of all classes and like specs and things like that. Like, you know, if we just didn't do a cool idea because we didn't trust Blizz to balance it, then just stop playing WoW, because, you know, we'll have no cool ideas ever again introduced into the game. And so I never quite...
It's a slippery slope.
No, exactly. And just out of principle, I generally need more from a criticism than I don't trust Blizz to balance it. And like in theory, I like the idea of Covenant specific legendaries. I like Covenants. I like the individual abilities with Covenants. I like that the Covenant abilities are exclusive. I'm very much in the camp of keeping them exclusive. I was not a pull the ripcord kind of guy. You know me, Garrett. I just want an easy life. And if everyone wants to pull the ripcord, I'm like, yeah, pull the ripcord. I don't really care. But really, I'm glad they didn't. And you know, it's cool. So from that respect, I think it's a cool idea. I also kind of think, though, that, yeah, ideally, in an ideal world, what we want is to be focusing on making the Covenants less BIS and you know, making it so there isn't one Covenant that you automatically go to depending on your spec. And in some ways, they have actually really done that. Like, you know, like it's genuinely, if you're a priest right now, genuinely kind of difficult to choose your Covenant. Like, there's so many different ways you could go and different builds that you could focus on depending on which Covenant you take. And actually, I think for priest right now, that's a really good place. It's always kind of been the case with warriors, particularly now with the Necro banner.
It's like, really the case now.
And I think priests and warriors are two really good examples of Covenants working how they should, really.
Yeah,
and I think,
and we're always going to look at our own experiences, right? Too. So there are exceptions, but I think it was way worse before the last round of balance changes, and that's what I'm getting at. Is like right now, I think they've achieved, and I agree with you with what you're talking about. That you think Covenant should go more in a less BIS direction, and I agree, and I think they're there, and that's why I look at this and go,
exactly. And that
seems to be counterintuitive.
That's where I'm going. Is that I think Covenant specific legendaries, they really have the potential to compound the like automatic choice per class. Yeah.
Covenants are the Titanic, and we just we're like, oh wow, we missed the iceberg. Wow, that was nice move, Captain. And then the captain comes over the loudspeaker and goes, we're gonna see if we can do donuts around that iceberg.
I think I dropped my wallet on the iceberg, so we're just gonna
why? Oh, I just want to see if we can. And you know, we could be wrong. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do want Covenants to be more BIS. And so if that's the case, then this is certainly the direction to go. And so I think you and I are both saying that we just don't think that is the direction they should go.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're signing yourself up for problematic player experiences down the road.
It feels like you're just making life harder for yourself at this stage.
My gut reactions go like,
but then
why?
Then there is the evidence that we have from what's happened in the game so far, which we've talked about a couple of times, and which I still take great delight in, by the way, is on the occasions where we have seen a BIS Covenant change, like the players that have then, as a result, had to change Covenant to go to what they consider their new BIS Covenant to be, have all been pretty happy about that. Like, generally.
Yes, and we've also mentioned that it might have something to do with the fact that there's not a whole lot else to do in the game right now.
No, you're quite right. You're quite right. But like, if I found out that I had to change Covenant, I'd be kind of excited about that. I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. Obviously, I don't expect everyone to feel the same, but we have seen that in a lot of players who have changed. Like, the feeling has been that they've been quite glad to have that thing to do, and that they found the act of changing to change their ability, which is now their BIS ability or whatever. Generally, it's been quite exciting because they've gone on to because they've always jumped to a new Covenant that is going to be better and has become better, rather than jumping from a Covenant that has just become worse. Like, no one's jumped from a Covenant because it got nerfed. They've always jumped to a Covenant that has been buffed, you know? And I think that's very important. And, you know, like, if my Covenant got nerfed and I had to jump to a different Covenant because of that nerf, that doesn't feel as good as me choosing to go to another Covenant that just got buffed. You know, I feel like I'm going to
you're in pursuit of power rather than
Yeah.
fleeing a sinking ship.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
and
I
so far
think
that's always been the case,
more.
which I think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting. And this is the kind of thing. Listen, we're kind of having fun. Like, it's fun to just go, why would you make things harder? I'm trying to be a little dramatic. When in reality, like, I am legitimately curious. Like, I would love to hear, I wish there were like little dev notes, like, to these changes where they're just like, hey, this is what we're thinking, this is why we're going this direction. Because even though, like, my gut reaction is, oh boy, I don't think this is a great idea, I'm always interested in why, like the why behind it, like why they are going this direction, why they think this is adding value to the game. And so I still very much want to know that. But it's hard to look it's hard to look at like things like the unique effects on like the bow and cloak that drop off of Sylvanas for hunters.
Oh man, that stuff is so cool. I'm 100% down with that. It is just like
bury me in the hype for that type of stuff. That is the type of stuff that absolutely gets my WoW
listeners
going.
Who might not know what you're talking about, can you clarify that?
I need to pull it up real quick because I don't have it in front of me. So let's go for a Sylvanas bow 9.1 because there's so much stuff on Wowhead right now. It's legitimately hard to find. So Sylvanas drops a bow and a cloak, and they both have like equip effects for hunters. So the bow, which this is what I'm excited about, is the equip effect is replace your kill shot with wailing arrow, which deals X amount of shadow damage to your target and additional X amount of shadow damage to all nearby targets within 8 yards. So it has an AoE upon impact that's 8 yards wide. And also says lesser creatures struck by wailing arrow are stunned for 6 seconds. I want to quest with this. I want to quest with this so bad. I am currently, Taliesin, drafting up a letter of apology to my original hunter main from back in vanilla for ever abandoning him. Because I need to level my hunter now because I need this bow. I need it so bad.
And like, there are people in chat saying it'd be cooler if like there are unique effects for everyone. Nah.
Okay, of course that would be cooler.
No. I actually literally disagree. I feel like sometimes in an MMO, it's cool just to have something for someone who isn't you. Like, honestly, like I don't play Hunter. I'm never going to get that bow. I'm never going to get that quiver. I'm never going to, like, by the way, the back piece is an actual quiver as well, which has its own unique effect too. For hunters, for ranged hunters as well, we should add. But honestly, I just think that's really cool. I just think it's really cool that hunters get this unique, like, 2 bits of gear that they can aim for. I think that's brilliant. It makes me really happy, even though it doesn't affect me. Like, I don't have to be getting something from it to think it's a cool idea. I think it's absolutely
I've always really liked the kind of in-world storytelling that stuff like that affords. Because I still remember back in the day before we even had, like, fan sites like this, where all we had was ThoughtBot. You kind of had to know what you were looking at. And I'd be in town like an idiot, nowhere near max level because I was playing badly, and some dude would run by in like a dungeon set or a tier set, or my God, the first time I saw somebody with Thunder Fury, I didn't know about any of this. I'm like, what is this crazy lightning sword on this dude's back? This thing is so cool looking. And I still don't have Thunder Fury. I never got the damn thing. Like, and it's fine. I think it's really cool to see that kind of stuff in person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know. It to me, it adds. I don't think it takes anything away.
No,
that warrior's not getting anything specific. Like, the first time I see a hunter running around with this, the first time I'm out in Korthia and I see a wailing arrow go off, I'm gonna be like, damn,
yeah,
that's cool.
Oh, I totally agree. And I don't like I say that as a non-hunter player, but I saw those items pop up, and I was like, that is legit. That is cool, and I am down for it.
I will say, though, it did make me remember how much I was a big dork about going for certain bows and stuff back when I mained a hunter. So it's I think I might dust off my hunter, see how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame that survival hunters can't use it. Yeah, but then when have you ever seen Sylvanas be a survival hunter?
I mean, that's on you for playing survival hunter. You made your choice. What do you want to do? You want to beat them with a bow?
Oh, look, you can still equip it, dudes. You can still equip it. You've got, like, you know, survival hunters have a kill shot. It's fine. You can still use it. You just wouldn't be
I
able to use
feel
any of
like
your
if
other
you're
abilities.
currently playing survival, have you heard anyone actually, a real survival hunter, complain about this? 'Cause I feel like if you're actually like legitimately playing survival hunter, you're so off in your own world, finding your own fun.
Yeah, let's be perfectly honest. If you're playing like Survivor Hunter, you're not going to kill Sylvanas anyway, are you? So
Listen, you will. You're
ain't
just
no
not
raid
going to
team
see
going to take you. No, because like they're going to be like, oh, this is a bit of a hard fight. Would you mind just changing to one of the proper hunter specs?
Would you mind changing to anything else?
And like the Survivor Hunter's like, oh, I can help you out with my aspect of the cheater. It's like so can the good hunters.
Oh, so much shade. No. Listen, they're going to get Sylvanas down. There just won't be an achievement that pops that says ahead of the curve when it happens.
I'm joking. Survival Hunters is a fun spec, Survival Hunters. But yeah, like, sorry, it's like ranged hunters are getting it. Like, what do you want to do, man? Sylvanas is famous for using her bow. What are they going to do? Like, oh, we've got to make it a sword. We've got to make it a spear just so Survival Hunters can use it as well. No, like...
No, listen, dude. They have her drop the whip that she uses on Nathanos in private. That's what they have her drop. That was what you would drop for Survival Hunters.
Sylvanas' bow, man. It's gonna be now. Do we need another class that uses a bow? 100%. Like bows and guns, there should be another class that uses bows and guns. I genuinely think that. But like, anyway, there we go.
I still want Dark Rangers.
Oh yeah. Well, I feel like if we're ever gonna get them, it's got to be soon, right?
It would have been this expansion.
Well, yeah, it's got to be at some point in this expansion, really. Otherwise, I don't know. I still think they could just add Dark Ranger customizations into Night Elf anytime they wanted, frankly. Or
yeah,
Forsaken.
I agree. Yeah, Forsaken should. Listen, I know. On this every show I've ever talked about World of Warcraft, I mentioned that I want other races for the Forsaken. At this point, I'm at the bargaining stage of this desire, which is just give us elves at least. Just give me an elf toggle. Just toggle on like elf toggle. That's what I want.
The patented Garrett elf toggle. Yeah.
It would have been so good too, because you imagine like Dark Rangers had any role at all in this expansion, because the interplay between them and the Knights of the Even Blade. Because they would just be, it'd be that the Predator arm wrestling handshake meme.
That'd be so
where it's
good.
like Knights of the Even Blade and Dark Rangers, and they'd be flexing, shaking hands, and it would say revolting against your old master.
You are not wrong, Garrett. That would be awesome.
So good. Be so good. What a missed opportunity.
Boo.
1 out of 10. Worst expansion ever.
There'll be people in this chat that agree with you. Anyway, I think, like, honestly, the Sylvanas bow and quiver from the Sylvanas fight, like, genuinely one of my favorite little moments out of anything that's come out of this PTR so far. Like, I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm all about. That's MMO right there. That's cool. That's RPG. I'm down with that. That's wicked. That's good.
Yeah, that really sets off my nerd alarms. Can we have a little chat? Can we go into Spoilerville and talk about some characters that are showing up? Or
yeah, I'm putting up a virtual red bot spoiler bot right now, guys.
Wait, on the overlay? Up. Is that something we can do?
No.
Oh.
Again, I mean, I could literally record myself saying red bot like that, and then put it on loop underneath us talking for the
that would be
for the listening crowd. I could do that if you want.
No, we're probably, I don't know, jump ahead like 15, 20 minutes.
Red bot. I can do it quieter than that.
I think you can stop now.
Okay,
stop. Yeah. This isn't a Taking Back Sunday song. We don't need overlapping vocals.
You're such a 90s dweeb.
Okay, Take Back Sunday was 2000s. Okay, I know they technically started in the 90s, but no one gave a shit.
When I think famous bands who do overlapping vocals, I think Taking Back Sunday.
It was pretty egregious. Okay, let's be honest.
No, fair.
I'm gonna have a paragraph of lyrics under the lead singer right now. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay, so we are
at
now
me.
officially in Redbot Spoilerbot territory.
I'm just constantly trying to find out where my mall emo fans are that listen to this show. So do we want to start with the Primus? Do we want to start with the fact that Ner'zhul is a raid boss? Garrosh? Which one do you want to go with?
Let's start with the Primus, because it's not really. If anyone considers this a spoiler, then I feel sorry for you, and I feel like maybe you need a serious lesson in reading narrative hints. It has now been confirmed via data mining that and this is data mining, so it's not actually in the PTR. It could change, and I feel like that's enough to, got to put that out there. But it has now been confirmed that the Primus is in fact. Are you sitting down, Garrett? Okay,
I am.
Prepare yourself for this. The Primus is in fact the Rune Carver.
Yeah, of course.
You can't.
Of course. Who the shit did you think he was?
I know what you're thinking. Some of you have fallen off your chair in shock and horror. But he's in fact the Rune Carver. I know for a fact some of you in my chat on my stream would actually be surprised about this. I know, because a lot of people have told me that I'm an idiot for even thinking that. Yeah, so I don't know where those people have gone now, but it turns out that yes, but his fingers tally. Yeah, this was a favorite. This was a favorite on my stream when pretty much every video where I ever mention the Primus, we have a running joke on our channel where we always say. Oh, whenever you mention the Rune Carver, you always say, "Oh yeah," and then you have to go to the Primus. I mean, the Rune Carver, and blah blah blah. It's just a joke because the Rune Carver is obviously the Primus, always has been, obviously, and so I attract quite a lot of people to my stream who enjoy saying I'm wrong about everything, and those people who told me I was wrong, for example, about Classic and the raid going down quickly because I hadn't thought about all the fire resist gear people were going to need. When I was like, I think Molten Core will go down within the first couple of weeks of Classic going live, and people were like, Taliesin, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. The raid will take months to go down. Do you know why? Because Classic is hard. Think about the fire resist gear, Tally. Think about all the fire resist gear. I was like, oh, okay, well, I just think it will. And I was like, and also the Rune Carver is obviously the Primus. And everyone was like, you're an idiot, Tally. Look at the fingers. Look at the fingers, Tally.
Can we also talk about the fact that, hey, do you remember? So the model for the Primus has also been data mined, which I have seen, and we're not going to show it on screen or anything, but we're going to have a little chat around this idea. So if you've seen it, cool, and if you didn't want to see it, there's only so much I can describe to you, so you're still not going to see it because you're probably listening to this in audio form. Do you remember back when we didn't know what the jailer looked like when they announced Shadowlands, and this jailer was steeped in shadow, and then I don't know,
the big leak?
Yeah, the leak of the jailer.
We did an episode on that leak. Do you remember? We got Peculiar on to talk about the difference between data mining and leaks.
Yeah, we talked about it, and
let's get Peculiar back on the show. She was great.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Can we do that? Can we get Peculiar back on the show at some point? That'd be really nice. I feel like now would be a good time. Let's do that. Let's get Peculiar on the show. Yeah.
You're asking me. You were the one that booked that. It was wonderful.
I'll get it.
It was the most effort you've ever put into this podcast, and I really
any
appreciate
opportunity
it.
to speak to Peculiar. It'll be amazing. Love her.
But anyway, so we didn't know what the jailer looked like, and then there was a leak of jailer art, and looks nothing like the jailer in game right now is what ended up happening. So now we've seen a data mine Primus model, which looks way more like that leaked jailer art. It's not 1-to-1, but definitely way more evocative of it than the jailer that's in game right now.
Yeah, and I think it's likely that they purposely based it on the concept art that they decided not to use for the jailer. I think they made the right decision to not use that art for the jailer.
I agree. I've been quoted as saying before, and I think it was on this program, that I don't love the jailer's design, but man, it's really grown on me.
He's just a good baddie, man. He looks like a baddie, and he acts like a baddie. He says shit like "pitiful mortals." That's the kind of shit I like my baddies to say.
Yeah.
I like my baddies to rock up and be like, "Pitiful mortals." Oh shit! Wait, hang on. I've just remembered. Can we just go back, before we carry on? Another piece of gear on Sylvanas. You've got the bow, you've got the quiver, but you've got the trinket. Have you noticed the trinket on Sylvanas?
No. What's the trinket?
It's soul of an old soldier, and the icon is an orc face. And it's a
Yes.
warrior trinket.
Yes.
Sourfang's soul is a trinket from Sylvanas. Like, we get Sourfang's soul as a trinket. How amazing is that?
I love it.
It's just too good. It's just too good. Anyway, I'm glad I put that in the spoiler section. Actually, I'm glad I waited until the spoiler section.
Right now, that's wonderful. I didn't see that. Okay, so back to the Primus. Yeah, Primus is the Rune Carver. The Rune Carver is the Primus.
I'm gonna disenchant the fuck out of Sourfang's soul.
I am too. And as I do it, I go, you should have been Greymane. That's what I'm going to do when I do it. I'm going to be like, yeah.
But I just think that's so cute. I think that's such a great little... Anyway, sorry. So yeah, back to the Primus. I feel like they probably used the that jailer artwork as a basis, and like kind of like a very purposeful kind of nod to that, I guess. I don't think it's particularly meaningful. I think it's just kind of neat that they did it. I think it's just like, yeah, well, let's use that concept. Kind of fits a bit more for the Primus.
I think so as well. And I don't think there's any deeper meaning to it either. I like drawing parallels between concept art and actual art. So.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it's really interesting. What it means is that the Primus statue in the Maldraxxus Covenant Sanctum, it does have less fingers than it really should. It has got like as we've noticed, as we can again draw from like real life. You know, the Primus has been gone for however long or whatever, and you know, I don't know. As we can see from statues of, say, I don't know, Jesus Christ on Earth, it's impossible to do a statue of someone and make it not look like they would have actually looked like, right? Even if you really like them.
I mean, he clearly had washboard abs. He looked like Brad Pitt from Troy. I don't know what you're talking about. That was an accurate representation of
exactly. So I mean, yeah, I was always one to say like, it's a statue. Who cares? Like, so what if the statue's only got 3 fingers and a thumb? Like, no, it's the Rune Carver is still the Primus, and obviously that was true. And I like that. I like shit. So something the Witcher games do really well is the books in world in The Witcher that you can pick up and read and stuff. Sometimes they're just wrong. Sometimes the information in those books is wrong, and it's not wrong by accident. It's not like accidentally retconning stuff. It's like they're just written by people who don't actually know everything that they're talking about, and so they're wrong. You know, I think that's absolutely fine. I think that's really cool because, like, you can find like accounts of like elf and human history in The Witcher 3 in books and stuff, which is categorically, objectively false. Like, the information it's giving you is just wrong, because then it's clarified actually that it matches the books in the game as well, like where humans come from and stuff in those games. And that happens in WoW as well. Like, there are books about Sargeras in the Stormwind Library that are just wrong, just tell you wrong stuff. And I think that kind of stuff is great, and I love that the Primus statue's wrong. I think it's really good. I love that. I think it's really cool. I think it's really good. And like, I feel like, you know, the statue has got 4 fingers, but maybe he's got cool warrior gloves that for some reason 2 fingers go in 1 big finger. I don't know, like, who cares? Anyway, the Primus is the Rune Carver.
I have those monster hands I got from a Halloween store too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
But the Primus is indeed the Rune Carver. You'll all be shocked to learn. Some of you actually will be. The model looks awesome. Pretty intense, which suggests that maybe we're going to get some kind of flashback scenes or something. One of the great kind of missions in 9.1, one of the overarching storylines, is we are trying to gain access to the archives of the City of Secrets to find out what it is the jailer is actually after. So it seems likely there might be some kind of Argus style. Korthia is very reminiscent of Makari. From Argus in the first place. It's got that kind of like floating, sort of destroyed cityscapes and stuff like that. It feels a lot like Makari in lots of ways. And it feels maybe we might have some flashback scenes of like the Primus before he was kind of captured by the jailer. We find out a lot about why the Primus disappeared and how he got into the jailer's kind of custody and things like that. So I've got a feeling that might be where that model pops up.
I was kind of assuming, because we started unchaining him, I wonder if we're going to get all the way and then some sort of magic and Primus returns to his original form.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Grows a beard really quickly. Yeah.
Magic, man.
Yeah, magic beard. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you see the new Thrall model?
Yeah, I saw the new Thrall model and his awesome armor. So he looks exactly like that big statue that came out now.
He does. I had forgotten about that, but something about seeing it in game, I realize it's more of like a gunmetal. But damn, that sure looks like blue and gold, and sure looks like he's wearing Stormwind colors with a horde belt.
No, he's wearing his classic armor, mate. You know,
classic-ish. It looks way cooler than his classic armor.
Got a good look. I think I'm a big fan of, we've done a Thrall episode, but I'm a big fan of Thrall these days. Thrall's always been one of my least favorite characters, but now he is up there again.
Yeah, it's a really solid silhouette too.
Yeah, blue is for frost wolves, as is being pointed out in the chat. Yeah,
yeah, but also looks a little Stormwindy.
Have you seen the Dreadlord models?
I saw one of them. It was like a blink and you missed it thing.
Dreadlord and Dreadlady. Dreadlord and Dreadlady. Female Dreadlord models. And they look very much like kind of proto-Dreadlords. So, they're not wearing Dreadlord armor. They're kind of very much like... They look like they might be earlier on the scale of evolution, as it were, than the Dreadlords that we... Oh, and obviously we've datamined a Mal'Ganis model as well. So we know that Mal'Ganis is going to make an appearance, which is pretty interesting. Which leads us on maybe to what you wanted to talk about with Ner'zhul as well.
Yeah, just by the sheer fact that Ner'zhul is a raid boss. We're going to fight the remnant of Ner'zhul in the Sanctum of Domination raid. And it's anything Lich King adjacent is going to get me excited. So I guess this whole effing expansion is going to get me excited. It seems like... it just makes me wonder what the hell's going on with Arthas, because clearly OG Lich King Ner'zhul has been tormented and his soul has just been twisted into a repurposed Marrowgar model.
That was always the case with Ner'zhul, though, wasn't it? He was always much more of a prisoner of the domination armor than Arthas was. Arthas always had a lot more agency than Ner'zhul ever did. He was Ner'zhul was basically from the start imprisoned within the armor and very much kind of trapped by it in a way that Arthas wasn't. So it's fitting that Ner'zhul is introduced like that in the raid. And actually, if you look at the dungeon journal, there are 3 or 4 different models for Ner'zhul in that fight, of him wearing different parts of domination armor. So you've got him, and there's a bit where he's just wearing the helm of domination, then there's a bit where he's wearing the chest, and I think there's another part as well, and then he turns into another completely separate big monster. So it's really cool that he goes through different parts of wearing different parts of the armor and stuff, and it's going to be really fun. It's going to be super cool.
Yeah. Oh, I've just found the Lady Dreadlord. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're nifty, aren't they?
Oh,
so
this
very much
looks
fits in with my
straight out of,
speculation a year ago that the jailer is some kind of... The Dreadlords in general are some kind of offshoot of the first ones, of the Eternal ones, but specifically the jailer. I don't know. We'll see. It's super interesting to me. I love all the Dreadlord stuff.
Yeah, the term Nathrazim, where have I heard something that sounds similar thrown around in this very expansion a ton?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
The Nathrazim from Nathreza. Find it very hard to believe they're not
there's no way those are
connected to the Castle Nathria.
I just don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
And the owner of Castle Nathria, who is often called the Lord of Dread by other characters.
The Ner'zhul thing it makes my Arthas brain just start firing off. I'm like, what is he even doing in the maw?
Yeah.
Like, has the jailer met him? Are they working together? Does Arthas go visit Ner'zhul every once in a while and just go, look at you, you tortured bastard?
It's so cool, and like for me, it's like all of the stuff they're doing with the older characters here, because we know that Garrosh is in the new raid as well. There's a fight, which is based around. It sounds a bit like the Sun King fight actually with Kel'Thas. There's a fight which involves Garrosh being milked for anima and stuff in the same way. No mention of him after that, by the way. So I don't know if you're a big Garrosh fan, maybe unlucky. So that's really interesting too. And I find it. I think every time like a new old character crops up in Shadowlands at the moment, I get excited about it in a way that I didn't in, for example, WoD. Like every time an old character cropped up in WoD, I kind of like rolled my eyes a bit and sighed a bit and was like, oh, okay, there's another name that we all recognize in WoD doing WoD stuff. And I don't get that in Shadowlands. I was trying to think why that was the case, because like there's lots of fan service in Shadowlands, and there's lots of characters like, oh, it's Kel'Thas, and oh, it's Garrosh, oh, it's Ner'zhul, and like, you know, that I'm trying to think why it doesn't make me roll my eyes like it did in WoD, and I guess it's because it's a continuation of those characters, and WoD was like a retreading of those characters.
WoD was member berries, and it was right off the bat too. Like that whole belabored Tanan intro sequence was another orc shows up and it zooms in and there's name text on screen, which I kind of like the cheese of that, honestly. But like also it was just big old orc member berries. Like that's all it was, and really just wanting to live in the past as opposed to take those characters and move them forward into the future. And yeah, I'm with you. And I have really felt like Shadowlands has barely scratched the surface of bringing back like much loved dead characters. I think to its credit. And so now that they're starting to pop up in this 0.1, it's like I'm like legitimately excited for it, because I think they were patient, which is hilarious because I played Night Fae, and it's just like, hey, do you like Ysera? Do you really like Ysera? Here's all this Ysera. Let's just take Ysera and just smear Ysera on everything.
hey, you like Alexstrasza? You want to go see Alexstrasza? Oh, about Razan? Do you like Razan? Oh, about Razan? Do you like Razan? Like Razan? Get Razan.
And you know what? I do. World of Warcraft developers.
You remember Huln High Mountain? You don't? Well, here he is anyway.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, you like Huln, and I mean, not he's okay. I guess.
Was Huln High Mountain your favorite character? No. Well, he's probably someone's. Here he is.
Yeah. Was the whole history of Azeroth a thing that you care about a little bit? Well, redo it through a play. And I loved every second of it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
I'd Fae Best Covenant.
So yeah, and I, that was one of my big worries about Shadowlands, was that I was going to get a repeat of that feeling from WoD, where it's just like, it's going to be too much fan service, it's going to be too many like characters cropping up who we're supposed to recognize and be happy about and stuff like that. And it hasn't been like that. I've been really pleased. And I guess it is because it's a continuation of those characters rather than a rewriting, which is what WoD felt like. And nothing in WoD felt particularly impactful because, you know, alternative universe, who cares? Velen's died, my Velen's still alive, who cares? The proper Velen is still alive. Yeah. Why would I be upset about this fake Velen? I don't care.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. That's makes a lot of sense. But okay, I think we can move on from like character-based discussion and kind of start to wrap this up.
But another thing that's noticeable actually in the opening scenario, to get into just while we're on the character section of this show, is that one thing, a line that is repeated almost too often for it to be throwaway, is people asking where Anduin is. People know at this stage that Anduin has been turned or like controlled by the jailer, And
Yeah, so I did poke around a little bit in 9.1, and I love like in the very first quest you get, it's like, we weren't prepared. No, it was terrible when the Kyrians show up and you click and it's like placeholder cinematic. It's like, we've all seen it.
Yeah.
We know what cinematic you're showing us.
Yeah.
What is happening? It's done. It's made. But yeah, that gave me a giggle. Yeah,
the whole kind of opening battle, people are like, "Ooh, where's Anduin? Why is he not taking part in this battle? Since he's like the jailer's new like hero and stuff like that." So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, he's in his dorm room listening to Hybrid Theory.
Say again.
He's in his dorm room listening to Hybrid Theory.
He's like, I just love the overlapping lyrics and this Taking Back Sunday. It's so good. I wish I could find other bands that do overlapping lyrics, but there aren't any. It's only Taking Back Sunday. Oh.
Let me tell you about this band called Fall Out Boy. Yeah, it's
so yeah, that is interesting to me. I think
like a shadow
story is clearly going to go way beyond 9.1. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean the fact that like by virtue of him not being a boss in Sanctum of Domination, clearly I think whatever's going on with Anduin is not going to get wrapped up in 0.1. And the whole thing, as you mentioned, there's like a shadow of Anduin's attack that just kind of hangs over this whole patch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
funny too, because it echoes.
I'm looking forward to the Archon getting stabbed again in 9.2 though. She gets stabbed in every patch. She took a big old spear in 9.0. She took a big old Morn blade in 9.1. I'm just looking forward to seeing what she gets stabbed by in 9.2.
Oh, in 9.2, a hunter is going to be standing there with Sylvanas' bow, and it's just accidentally going to discharge, and she's going to get smacked with a wailing arrow, and she's just going to look at a hunter who just goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was cleaning it, and it went off."
And like the Archon's just like, "Not again."
They updated the Archon model too. She has like a scar.
Yes.
Where she got stabbed. She's just gonna be like that guy in Austin Powers who just keeps getting horribly injured. Will Ferrell's character, isn't it?
She needs to get herself one of those stab suits that all the new Maw baddies wear. Have you seen like all the new bosses, all the new Maw baddies in Torghast and stuff? Like I get it, right? They're like the old Maw guys, like the old Maw Swarm, but they're like extra big kind of armor, like extra padded. You must have seen them. They've got like really long arms and kind of like really and they all look like they're wearing those like dog attack suits that dog trainers wear.
Dude, yeah, the what are they calling them? I think they call them the Construct Giants.
Yeah. They all look like dog trainers. They all look like they're just stepping into a pen, and like the attack dogs are getting unleashed to be training them. And like Archon needs one of them suits. Clearly.
There's so many designs in this expansion that I gush over, that I just love, that it is just Lich King Ice Crown aesthetic cranked up to 11, and I just do not know where to start complimenting it. The Construct Giants are not one of those designs. They are so doofy looking.
They're so goofy looking, but they've genuinely like grown on me. I think they're great, and I also love the thing.
Dude, I feel like an artist, like you've done so many good things. So I feel like I always feel bad about like critiquing art, even though like I literally went to school and spent 4 years critiquing art. But like it literally looks like I could see an artist on the WoW team sitting in their backyard with like a furnace fire pit, going, I'm going to make a character out of that.
And I love the way like the brief was obviously like, okay, so all the Maw guys from Torghast and from the Maw, we like in 9.1 it needs to be like more badass versions of them, so like same aesthetic, same feel, but more badass. And like they sat there and they're like, okay, well, how do we make them more badass? Well, one, we can just make all their armor bigger. Okay, so just bigger armor. And then someone went, and how about some of it is gold? It's like, so they've just got bigger armor, and some of them have gold armor, and that's it. And it's brilliant. It's like proper video game like hierarchy signals there. It's like, how do I know this baddie is more badass than the 9.0 version? Because his fucking armor is gold, mate. That's how you know. Brilliant. I love
Yeah,
it. I think it
the
looks
more
so good as well.
humanoid.
And joking aside, I think it looks great. I love it.
The new humanoid ones too. Like I think they're labeled as tormentors in the data mining. There's also a new necromancer model. Those all look amazing.
Yeah,
like I'm so still like the only reason I like want to kind of take the piss out of the construct giants just a little bit is because I think everything else I have seen model wise is just magnifique.
Oh yeah, I like all the models and like the new mount models, the hand models and things like that. There's as you would expect, like all of that super fun stuff going on with a new patch, which is one of the more satisfying things about any new patch, you know. So when it first hits the PTR, it's like it is like that. It's a very exciting time of getting all these data mines. And you know, Jeff Hamilton was on Twitter. Who's a systems designer, saying, you know, oh, they haven't found everything. Weird. So there's more in there. More. There's more in there. We haven't even mentioned like all the new Covenant, all the new conduit ranks and empowered conduits and the stuff which is really going to kind of be the bread and butter, really, which is the gameplay stuff.
There's a lot of system tweaks, and I'm not even sure where to begin.
And that's why this is going to be a long PTR, is because they'll be sorting all that stuff out.
We're getting stars and Torghast.
Sorry,
we're getting stars and Torghast. We're getting a new currency.
Yeah.
For upgrading the eye level of legendaries that has nothing to do with Soul Ash.
Yes.
Additional Soulbind tiers.
There's going to be an integration of like a Blizzard Raider IO system, which is going to be put into the game as well to kind of keep track of people's Mythic Plus scores. So like a baked-in Raider.io is going to be part of 9.1 as well. Some really interesting things. There's
a lot. We didn't talk about mounts. We didn't talk about. All right, here's the most mundane thing that I'm super excited about, and maybe this will see us out of the episode, which is transbogging one shoulder to be different from the other.
First thing I did.
I'm so excited.
It's so goofy. It's so dumb, but I love it.
I'm particularly really excited because I always like the Herod shoulder at a Scarlet Monastery. I love having one shoulder.
Yeah.
And now I get to do that with any shoulder I want. I like asymmetrical silhouettes. I'm like a big dork about them, and now I can make my own. I'm not limited to just the shoulders they've given me that is just one shoulder.
I'm very happy for you.
As you know, I am all about that ass. Pathetic.
Let it be known. But yeah, lots of numbers tuning to do, and like obviously in week 1 of PTR, everything is massively unbalanced when it comes to numbers and stuff. Like, which is why, you know, it's our job to kind of report that stuff is unbalanced and wrong. But it's not really. It seems a bit silly to complain about it. I always just remember.
Is that your job?
In the Shadowlands alpha, when you know the Venthyr ability was really unbalanced, the teleport. And everyone was like, well, this is just proof that covenants don't work because everyone's going to be Venthyr. Why would you not go Venthyr with this teleport? It's game breaking. Doesn't matter what any of the other abilities are. Doesn't matter what your class specific ability is. If you don't go Venthyr, you're trolling because you got to choose. And it's like, do you think they might change it? Don't know. Maybe. Maybe this is just an example of an ability that they might change rather than it be, you know, don't know. So it turns out didn't break the game. Turns out didn't break the game. It's weird. It's funny that. And you know, like same with all the iterations of the new legendaries and things like that. You know, some will end up unbalanced or whatever, but I'd take any unbalance now with a pinch of salt for what it means for the future. Yeah, report it. You know, point out when things are really unbalanced and give feedback on it, but don't act like it's going to be that way forever because that's our job to make sure it's not, right?
It's the whole point. It's the whole point of the PTR is to actually test this thing and get it in the hands of much more, so many more players than they can test internally with their own team. You're just going to break things so much faster and find obvious issues much quicker. And it's like, boy, other Blizzard games should do this. I can't think of any other game that recently had a major expansion launch that had serious imbalance issues. Hi, Hearthstone. How you doing? Maybe you should consider a PTR.
That was another thing that people said I was an idiot about, by the way, for saying that I didn't think the Venthyr ability was going to end up being broken and breaking the game. And people were like, "You're an idiot, Tally. At the you're a troll if you don't take Vent. Everyone's going to go Venthyr." And I was like, I just don't think it's going to break the game. Sorry, I just don't think it is. I always said the Night Fae one was much better. Everyone agrees with me now, but at the time, everyone called me an idiot. So there we go.
You're clearly an idiot. Yeah.
I am an idiot, but I'm right about WoW stuff a lot. It's only everything else that I'm an idiot about.
The Venthyr teleport I hold is still cooler than the Night Fae ability, but the Night Fae ability is so much more usable in everyday situations.
I've got a few different soul shapes on my Night Fae character now, and like genuinely.
If you had told me that I'd be really into the moth form, I'd have been like, "You're nuts!" But I love the moth form. I can't stop using it. It's gorgeous.
But one day they're going to give us the chonky cat form, and that's going to be so good. Well, they better anyway. They better have.
I want more tiny critters. I know I can get them as pets, but I want to run around as a squirrel. I want to be the squirrel.
My suspicion is that Blizz are wary of making you be like a little critter or a chonky cat or something, because it might make you hard to spot in PvP or something. And I bet it's some lame-o reason like that why they're not doing it. And I say, yo, Blizz, give us the chonky cat soul shape, please. Thank you.
Give a big, I don't know, magical aura effect around the tiny squirrel, and that's my actual hitbox.
Fair. Very fair.
Is this the creative? I mean, look at these chunky-ass maw guards, man. Just, they're Blizzard is making peace with their chunk. They're finding their inner chunk. I think they can figure it out.
Yeah.
So... But it's I mean, this is exciting, man. Like, it's concerns about the new area and kind of not so exciting nature of daily quests aside, it's like I think we're just as likely to be overly critical of stuff like that because of the weight, and also just as likely to just be stoked as shit about silly stuff like transmogging one shoulder to be different from the other.
We're so easy to please.
Because it's
like none of these systems work. They're all broken. Everything's unbalanced and it's boring. Yeah, but the shoulders though. Why didn't you just say so?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it's also, we should talk about the new Uther model. We're getting a new Uther model, and
new Uther model. There's a new. Okay, so there's also new building models, which is really interesting. That have popped up in data mining, like human town models. Now there is part of the Kyrian campaign in 9.1 where you go to Arundel. And people are speculating that's where the new human building models are going to crop up. However, they're not actually there right now in the questline in question. So some people are whispering, they're definitely wrong, but I just like the idea. Some people are whispering that maybe it's some kind of player housing thing.
Oh,
they're definitely wrong, but that's what people are talking about.
No way, nope.
Yeah, but it's super interesting. There's just a lot of interesting things. But for me, one of the most interesting things is that the way the story seems to be going in 9.1 does seem to back up a theory that lots of people have, and the speculation that a lot of people have, that 9.1 is going to be kind of like the bow on the Maw as a story kind of setting, and kind of maybe even on the Shadowlands as a story setting, and that, after 9.1, the narrative is very much going to be set up to go somewhere completely different, whether it be a whole new place in the Shadowlands where we don't need to go to the Maw at all anymore, and it just changes the aesthetic and changes everything completely, or if the action even were to move out of the Shadowlands entirely and to take a more kind of cosmosy vibe, then it does certainly seem like 9.1 could be building up to kind of put a bit of a bow on the expansion narrative as we know it and go somewhere completely different. Much like 7.2 did going into 7.3. Which is something I talk about.
You might say the jailer's going to break his rusty cage and run.
Oh, 100%. The jailer is going to escape from the Maw. This in this at the end of this.
I cannot wait for 9.2 Jailer's Day Out.
The jailer in Europe.
The jailer goes to Manhattan.
Jailer 2, Pig in the City.
I can't wait for Jailer X, Jailer in Space.
Yeah. So I mean, We'll see. But you know, it's something we talked about a lot in the build up to 9.1, and now the PTR is here. What we know about the narrative, it certainly seems to be bearing that out. Put it that way.
Yeah. We've spent enough time in the mall. I think even the dev team, they're kind of ready to move on from the mall.
And I think it's kind of cool to double down on the Maw in 9.1. It's a fun concept to really kind of, you know, go, okay, fine. Well, we're going full Maw. We're going full on Maw for 9.1, and then we're done with it forever.
It's a major concept of the expansion.
Yeah,
it's a major set piece, and it was in the launch patch. It was really just kind of a means to an end for dailies.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it is fun to see the change in the Maw in 9.1. It is fun to have like a Covenant presence there. It is fun that like the Eye of the Jailer isn't a thing anymore. It is fun that you can mount there. Like to see that progression from one patch to the next, and how you have made it safer for yourself and for others, and how it is just like not such a dangerous place. It's not such an annoying place to get around anymore. Like that is fun, and it does pay off. It's cool.
I agree. I'm overall looking forward to the 9.1. Share some concerns with the daily nature of it that you do, but
yeah. But I think
I'm
hopeful, because I think the Renown system of delivering story is a good way of delivering story. It gives you new story every week, and it it gives you just enough work to do to progress that story and to get into the story quests, so that you feel like you are doing something for it. I just think Renown is a good. I think Renown levels is a good story delivery system. I thoroughly enjoyed the Covenant campaigns and in 9.0.
I have too. It seems cut more from a class hall DNA than war campaign DNA.
Absolutely.
And that's about the highest compliment I can pay it.
Yeah. And I think the Covenant campaigns were superior to the class hall campaigns as well. I thought. Oh no, like you might have enjoyed class halls more as a system, but like a lot of the chapters of those class hall campaigns were send these followers out on a mission table mission. See you next week.
I think that's fair.
Don't forget that.
That's fair.
But how many rogue chapter kind of infiltrating Stormwind, there was a send these people on a mission table mission. See you in 18 hours.
I don't know if it's factually the case, but I have a sense that the class hall campaigns just had so many more weeks of filler. Like I think also, to me, the Covenant campaigns also seem more trimmed down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're much more direct.
Yeah. So by virtue of being shorter, there's not as much bloat. Even though, as I think we joked about last week, I couldn't, if I had to administer one more antidote to somebody in Night Fae, I was gonna scream.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like they had two making an antidote for a curse for someone you've never met before now quests in 2 weeks in a row, and that was terrible. But like I mean, I think I'm right in saying the Order Hall campaigns were, the progress in them when new bits unlocked were based around artifact power and or rep. So like that's one of the reasons I think Renown is a much better delivery system, is because it is that much more direct. You're not going to get behind on your rep and fall behind on it, and like people take rep at different kind of speeds and paces and stuff, so it's easier to tell a streamlined story with Renown than it is the Order Hall. I think it works.
I do too, and I'm on pace to think this is wildly better than a Pathfinder system in terms of unlocking flying. So like I cannot see a way that 9.1 ends my enjoyment of Renown, and just thinking it's a much more just digestible and fun way to check some boxes to eventually fly. So bring it on. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about it, and we'll have a chat, but we might start kind of focusing on singular things as we march towards 9.1, or I don't know.
I think there's certainly gonna be a lot of story and like kind of lore stuff to be talking about in the coming weeks for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, wonderful. Well, folks, I think it's going to bring us to the end of this episode, which means it's time to remind you that if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to write in, let us know your thoughts, give us ideas for future episodes, or be a part of a mailbag, you can do so at wowkillercast@gmail.com. That is our inbox. I read each and every email in there. I don't reply to you all. I apologize. We get a few. We get a few. You can up your chances by like making your point clear and keeping the email relatively short. Also, bonus points if you don't double space. I hate double spacing. Just want to put that out there. I can see it, and it just like makes my eyes like go. It like
Also,
makes my eyes nauseous. Yeah, you can bribe me. Bribery always works. Always works. Listen, I'm not, there's nothing stopping me from accepting bribes. So, yeah, nothing stopping me at all. Not even my own moral fiber, which is indeed weak.
It's well known.
WowKillerCast@gmail.com. You can tweet at WowKillerCast. You can find the show on YouTube at youtube.com/WowKiller. And if you are listening to the sound of my voice in an audio format, congratulations, you are listening to the podcast. Do us a huge favor and subscribe to the podcast. However you're listening to it. You on Spotify? You on Apple Podcasts? You on something that's on Android? I have no idea. I've been iPhone since 3GS. So I don't understand your device, but subscribe because it does help the show out. And listen, maybe you take a week off, maybe you don't. Download the show. Just download the show every week. That helps us out. Everyone's always like, how can we help? We don't have a Patreon. The way you can help the show is just download the episode every single week. So go do that. And tell a friend so that they download the episode every single week. But before we go, Taliesin, if folks are somehow unaware of the fact that you have a massive World of Warcraft YouTube empire, where can they find said massive World of Warcraft YouTube empire?
Taliesin and Evitel do games on YouTube. Basically, if you want to see all the stuff we've been talking about in this episode, go to Wowhead. But if you're on YouTube... Come watch our channel because we'll be showing it all to you on the Weekly Reset, which is our weekly show. We do little videos as well. We stream on this channel, which we're streaming on right now, Taliesin and Evitel, where me and Evitel stream on the regular. We have a morning show in the mornings, and then one of us will stream in the afternoon. I believe that tomorrow is Evie's turn. I think she'll be streaming tomorrow afternoon, doing an Evie solo stream. Always good fun. So join us there and join us on Twitter, where we'll tell you that your favourite politician's an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
ruffle
don't have
some
a
feathers. Yeah.
but
what about you, Garrett? Because I don't watch any of your stuff. But if I wanted to, which I don't want to, but if I ever did, where would I find it?
You can find it at amove.tv. It's amove.tv. This podcast is over there, and every single other one that I produce can be found there as well. A lot of exciting stuff happening in Hearthstone right now, so I'll probably want to pimp a podcast called The Angry Chicken. It's a podcast all about Hearthstone that I am on. We're talking about the new expansion. We're talking about the nerfs that came in to make the new expansion interesting. So you should go check that out. New episode went up this past Monday. Everything else I do can be found at amove.tv, so go check that out. I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art, and that is going to do it.
You told me, Garrett, in a pre-show a few weeks ago, that the new Hearthstone expansion is the best expansion ever.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I would never say that. It's too hard to know right away.
Sounds like you changed your mind, is all I'm saying. Sounds like you're fickle like the wind.
I feel like I said it was the single biggest upset to Hearthstone the game has ever seen.
Oh, I see. Oh, damn. I'll go and check the VOD.
Because that is factual. That is factual. Like, yeah, you're going to go for, whatever. F off.
I'll find it.
We're going to end this recording and you're going to leave so quick. There's going to be a cartoon.
I will. So desperate for a poo right now.
It's going to look like Space Jam with a cartoon cloud where you used to be.
Oh, I see.
As opposed to current Space Jam, which is apparently, I don't know, Ready Player One, a sequel, is what I garnered from the trailer. Oh, dude, it looks like Ready Player One. It's a bunch of like non-cartoon movie references all up in that business.
Okay, I have not been following the Space Jam news. Sorry, everyone.
I'll leave you with this completely has nothing to do with World of Warcraft thought, which is, hey, Taliesin, if I had told you that Clockwork Orange would be a reference in the next Space Jam, would you have believed me?
I mean, they've referenced it in The Simpsons, so yeah, why not?
Oh, okay, then never mind. Because, there's like Clockwork Orange dudes hanging out in Space Jam.
Okay, that is a bit weird. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What, with the big cod pieces and stuff?
Yep.
With a bit of the old in-out?
Yes.
bit much, isn't it? And all I've seen is angry like YouTubers saying that they're desexualizing Space Jam because the rabbit doesn't have big tits anymore. But apparently the rabbit does, and the rabbit never had big tits anyway, and they were just talking about like a porn version that they'd seen. I saw lots of YouTubers very angry that they were desexualizing the rabbit character, like the female rabbit, Lola Bunny. They were sharing pictures of Lola Bunny with big breasts and saying, "Look, this is what she was like in the original Space Jam, and look at her in the new Space Jam. They've cancelled, they've censored her breasts." But it turns out that picture they were sharing of the original Lola Bunny was like literally pornographic fan art. Because none of them ever watched Space Jam, obviously, because YouTubers are idiots.
Well, as someone who is all about that aesthetic, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't paying attention. So,
yeah.
That's going to do it for this episode of WoW Killer. Clearly, we need to bring this to an end. So until next time, good luck and have fun, everyone. See ya on the PTR, maybe.